Our school, Michael Nagar Shikha Niketan, government-sponsored co-ed English medium higher secondary, has taken an excellent initiative in conducting online classes through YouTube channel. Even in this pandemic situation, our school did not step aback in providing and enhancing knowledge to the students. So, it's a request to the viewers, please like, comment and subscribe. Hello students, today I have come up with the video for class 6. So I request those of you of class 6 to open your book Dreamcatcher to page 56. We are going to start with the chapter for third summative, the women on platform number 8. So today we are going to start with the chapter of third summative, the women on platform number 8, chapter 9, page 56. So I request everybody to open your book. Okay, so now as I was waiting for you to get ready for the chapter, so this is my second video with you all. I have posted a previous video in one of the chapters of Dreamcatcher. If you are liking it, do share, and if you are having any doubts or any questions, please do not forget to drop into the comment box. It's a request to keep your respect, to keep dignity while dropping any comments. If there is any other doubts or anything, such questions can also be dropped into the comment box. I will surely soon get to you all. So now we are going to start with the chapter, the women on platform number 8. It was my second year at boarding school and I was sitting on platform number 8 at Ambala station waiting for the northbound train. I think I was about 12 at the time. My parents considered me old enough to travel alone and I had arrived by bus at Ambala early in the evening. Now there was a wait till midnight before my train arrived. Most of the time I had been pacing up and down the platform, browsing at the bookstall or feeding broken biscuit to stray dogs. Trains came and went and the platform would be quiet for a while, and then when a train arrived, it would be an inferno of heaving, shouting, agitated human bodies. As the carriage doors opened, a tide of people would sweep down upon the nervous little ticket collector at the gate. And every time this happened, I would be caught up in the rush and swept outside the station. Now tired of this game and of ambling about the platform, I sat on my suitcase and gazed dismally across the railway track. So this is the narrator who is considering himself to be the age around 12. Maybe he has come to his home from the boarding school to have a visit with his parents. After the visit, now it is his time to return back to the boarding school. And so from the Ambala station we are getting an idea it's a Punjab area or something. So his train is at midnight. So, but however, whenever we have to travel a longer distance, we always make sure that we reach the station before a long period of time, so that somehow we never get the chance of missing the trains. The same with this boy, and this boy also have given a justification that maybe he is 12 years old, but however he also said that his parents has that trust enough to put him, to send him alone. Now by the evening he has reached the station. He has travelled first from bus from his home. He came to the station and now he is waiting there, and as he is waiting there for his train to come at the midnight, the second part of the first paragraph is very important. You get the question like the scenario of the railway station, like there were stray dogs roaming. See, when the passengers are waiting and when the train is not like the train has not arrived, or it will arrive after a long hour, you know, there is a pin drop silence in the station. Some people are chit-chatting at the corner, the stray dogs are roaming around, there are some tea stalls, somebody's feeding biscuits to the stray dogs and like this. But when the train arrives, there is a huge rush, a huge pile of people move towards the train to get up on the compartment, a huge pile come down from the compartment. There is the poor little ticket collector, everybody pounds upon him to show the tickets. There is huge rush, and when this huge rush happens, the narrator makes sure that he keeps a safe distance because he can be dragged away easily by the passengers. So this part is important because the question is often asked about the scenario of the railway station. Then let's come to the second part. Okay, now tired of this game and of ambling about the platform, I sat down on my suitcase and gazed dismally across the railway track. So for a longer time, he is being sitting there, feeding stray dogs, going to bookstalls, reading books, and just observing the huge pile of passengers moving up, moving down, and the rush. And again, when the train goes, again the platform, you know, gets deserted and a pin drop silence there. So he says, I'm really tired now, because for a longer time he is doing this, and now he is waiting for a long time for the train to come to somewhere. He is feeling exhausted because he is being present there and observing the situation for a long time. Then trolleys rolled past me, and I was conscious of the cries of various vendors, the men who sold curds and lemons, the sweetmeat seller, the newspaper boy, but I had lost interest in all that went on along the busy platform and continued to stare across the railway tracks, feeling bored and a little lonely. Are you all alone, my son? Asked a soft voice close behind me. So this second part which I read now will also be included in the question, like describe the scenario of the railway station. So trolleys passed by, trolleys carrying goods and all. If you've been to Howrah station or something, you see huge trolleys carrying goods because there are goods train traveling from one state to another. There are vendors selling some chips or some things, and they're selling fruits, vegetables, shouting. There are sweetmeat sellers. Like the boy says, I was tired observing these people, observing this situation. Then suddenly, when I was just sitting on my luggage and just observing the railway track, suddenly I felt a soft voice murmuring behind me, and somebody asked in a very soft and a gentle voice, are you all alone, my boy? I looked up and saw a woman standing near me. She was leaning over, and I saw a pale face and dark kind eyes. She wore no jewels and was dressed very simply in a white sari. So this part of the paragraph is also important because the question comes like sketch, write, when a question comes when you have to write something about the women or sketch the character, even or state the appearance, that's most important, state the appearance of the women. Then in this case you have to write that a woman was, according to the narrator of course, she was a very gentle lady, a very simple one. She was wearing white sari, no jewels. Her face was also not so vibrant, very pale, dark, maybe dark circles or black set eyes. Yes, I'm going to school, I said, and stood up respectfully. She seemed poor, but there was dignity about her that commanded respect. So she was wearing a very shabby sari. She was not having any jewels. She seemed very poor woman. She looked actually very poor woman. But however, the way she talked, the way she stood, her personality commanded respect. So her personality showed that she was a very dignified woman. Maybe she don't have a very costly dress to wear, or costly jewels to show, but the way she spoke, the way she stood, that commanded respect. And therefore, when she heard the women, and when he looked back, he stood up respectfully, answering her, yes, I am going to school. Now next page. I have been watching you for some time, she said. Didn't your parents come to see you off? I don't live here, I said. I had to change trains. Anyway, I can travel alone. I'm sure you can, she said, and I liked her for saying that. And I also liked her for the simplicity of her dress and for her deep, soft voice and the serenity of her face. Tell me, what is your name? She asked. Arun, I said. And how long do you have to wait for your train? About an hour, I think. It comes at 12 o'clock. Then come with me, have something to eat. So the woman comes and starts a conversation with him. He says that I am observing you that you are being here alone for a longer time. Didn't your parents come to see you off? He said that I don't stay here, I stay at a far distance. I have to change trains and buses and comes. And anyways, my parents have a trust on me and so I travel alone. Then he says, I'm sure you can. And there are some people, oh my God, your parents left alone. How will you go? And all these things. She didn't show so much of curiosity. She said, with a belief and a trust on that boy, yes, I'm sure you can. So that thing, touched the heart of the boy. And he said that, and she said, I liked her because of her simplicity, because of her simplicity of her dress, the way she spoke, her soft voice, and there was so serenity, means sacredness, so holiness all about her face. So peace, and he was getting a sense of peace from her. Then he asked him about his name and he replied Arun, and then he asked when is your train and he said I have to wait for an hour, it would be around 12, and then the women very gently offered, come, let's have some food then if your train is late yet to come. I was going to refuse out of shyness and suspicion, but she took me by the hand and then I felt it would be silly to pull my hand away. She told the coolie to look after my suitcase and then she led me away down the platform. Her hand was gentle, she held mine, neither too firmly nor too lightly. I looked up at her again. She was not young and she was not old. She must have been over 30, but she had been 50. I think she would have looked so much the same. So he said that, and as the women asked her, like, let's go and eat something, the boy was about to refuse out of shyness, because if some stranger comes and offers you food, you feel shy. You just cannot go and say, yes, yes, I'll have the food or something. That shyness walks in us. And secondly, out of suspicion, because we always have this in mind, we should be very much aware of strangers. So even if in this story, as the evolvement of the story will be done, you will understand that this woman has no real existence. But this story is not teaching you that you should be easily believing all strangers. We should always, wherever we go, as we are children, as you are children now, you should always have this thing in mind, to be very precautive. Means you should always draw a circle of precaution before talking or engaging into any conversation or any ideas with any of the strangers. Okay, this is just a story. Take on a story basis. It's a request from a teacher. So as she comes and holds the hand of the boy, he wanted to leave it out of shyness and suspicion, but somehow he could not. The way the woman hold his hand, it was not so tight, not so loose, yet so gentle. Again he looked at her face. He realized it's not so old, not so young, somewhere maybe in the mid-50s or mid-40s or something. And then as the women went, the boy also went on with the women. She took me into the station dining room, ordered tea and samosas and jalebis, and at once I began to take new interest in this kind of woman. The strange encounter had little effect on my appetite. I was a hungry schoolboy and I ate as much as I could, as in a polite manner. She took obvious pleasure in watching me eat, and I think it was the food that strengthened the bond between us and cemented our friendship. For under the influence of the tea and sweets, I began to talk quite freely and told her about my school, my friend, my likes and dislikes. She questioned me quietly from time to time, but preferred listening. She drew me out very well, and I had soon forgotten that we were strangers. But she did not ask me about my family or where I lived, and did not ask her where she lived too. I accepted her for what she had been to me, a quiet, kind, gentle woman who gave sweets to a lonely boy on a railway platform. So as the boy went with the women to the sweet shop, the tea stall, the women ordered tea, some samosas for him, and he loved it because he was also feeling hungry sitting there alone for a long time, and in a very polite manner, and schoolboy, how much a schoolboy can devour it, he devoured it, but in a very polite manner. And the narrator said this going to the sweet shop, having some food, strengthened their friendship, cemented their friendship. Because why? Because a beautiful conversation took place between them. The women did not ask her where she lives, who is her parents, her biodata, her identity. No, she asked her where is her school, his likes, his dislikes, his emotions and his feelings. Even he asked the same, and she asked question one after another, but she preferred listening a lot. And you will see, whenever we speak, and if somebody listens to us, we love the most. We never like that when we speak, somebody enters and speaks extra there. We never like it. So the same was with the boy, and the boy was really loving the women because the women was giving her so much of that space where he was talking his heart out, and the women was also listening. The women did not ask her about his identity, about his biodata. No, he asked her about his emotion, his likes, his dislikes, his school, etc. And the way she was asking was very kind and gentle. And the more the boy was looking at the women, and he was more falling for the women because for her simplicity, her kindness, her gentleness. The second part of the video will be uploaded soon. Keep watching. Thank you.
Subscribe. Click on the bell. Like, comment, share.